Welcome to Tonganoxie Unified School District 464. In USD 464, all employees and students are important. As a district, we attempt to provide high-quality service to all of our facilities. This is a major undertaking that involves over 300 staff members. As your employer, we are presenting the following information to you to remember as you perform your work in the district. The mandatory training is important as we support our schools as positive environments that are conducive to teaching and learning. It is required that every employee follow all board policies, rules, and regulations that are included in handbooks, negotiated agreements, the board policy manual, and other board-approved documents. The following training will not cover all of the expectations and policies, but it will highlight several important areas. Copies of policies, rules, and regulations are available on the website or from your immediate supervisor. It is the responsibility of each employee to learn and follow all approved policy, rules, and regulations. The following topics will be covered in our mandatory training presentation. We will first address non-discrimination. In accordance with federal law, the U.S. Department of Agriculture policy, this institution is prohibited from discriminating on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, age, or disability. To file a complaint of discrimination, write USDA, Director, Office of Civil Rights, 1400 Independence Avenue, Southwest Washington, D.C., zip codes 20250-9410. Or you may call 800-795-3272 or 202-720-6382. USDA is an equal opportunity provider and employer. Providing a learning environment free from discrimination is our policy, and it is the law. For more information, please visit the Kansas State Department of Education website. Providing a safe and secure learning environment for our students and staff is our priority. It is imperative that all employees wear identification badges at all times while at work and question any adult who is in the building without an appropriate badge. Maintaining safety and security in our district buildings is a responsibility we all share. Safety is no accident. Be responsible by using equipment only as it is intended. For example, use only appropriate step stools or ladders, not rolling chairs, to hang items on the wall. Safety is no accident. By using common sense and avoiding dangerous situations, we can all have a safe year. Team lifting whenever possible is encouraged to avoid any back injuries to district staff. In addition, proper lifting techniques is critical in preventing injuries. Be sure to report an injury immediately, no matter how small or minor you may think it is. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration and the Hazard Communication Standard is intended to ensure that these workers and their employers are informed of the identities of these hazardous chemicals that are associated with health and safety hazards and appropriate protective measures. In 1986, the Communication Law, or the Right to Know Law, this states all employees have the right to know what chemicals they are working with on the job. Safety data sheets are available in each district building for your review. The SDA contains hazardous evaluations of the use, storage, handling, and emergency procedures related to that material. It also explains what to do if accidents occur, how to recognize symptoms of exposure, and what to do if such incidents occur. If you have any question regarding chemicals you may be working with, please see your supervisor or principal. In the U.S., OSHA requires that the safety data sheets or the books be available to employees for potential harmful substances handled in the workplace under the Employee Right to Know rules. The SDS books are required as part of any compliance obligation to be available and displayed promptly in the workplace. The SDS sheets will need to be provided before any chemical can be used in a school building. Important notice: SDS sheets or books may be useful, but they cannot substitute for the prudent and comprehensive risk management. Caution should be taken with all chemicals, and the proper procedures should always be followed in order to prevent injuries. If you have any questions about safe handling of chemicals, be sure to contact your supervisor or building principal. The District Crisis Management Plan. This was created to guide our action in the event of an emergency. This plan is available in the main office of each school. If you have questions, please visit with your immediate supervisor. In addition, each building has created a more specific crisis plan. At a minimum, these plans cover the above situations. During the school year, principals will conduct drills to practice these appropriate responses. Please ask your supervisor or principal for a copy of the building crisis plan, so you may be familiar with the action to be taken in case of an emergency. By following our safety guidelines and procedures, we can help protect all of those who are within our schools. Our next topic is confidentiality. As a school district employee, you may learn a great deal of private information about students and their family. This information must be protected and not shared except under special circumstances. This is especially important for students in special education who are afforded legal protection for confidentiality under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Information about a student's disability, the content of their individual education program, and other confidential information must be shared with the IEP team and school staff who will be working with the child, but may not be shared with other staff who do not have a need to know. The FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, is a federal law that governs the collection, the use, and disclosure of the information that is within a student's educational records. USD 464 expects all employees to abide by these regulations and exercise absolute caution before sharing information about a student. Simply stated, employees should protect confidential student information in the same way you expect your private information to be protected. While students are in USD 464, various records are maintained so that students can be provided appropriate educational services. Some of the types of records include grades, their test scores, documentation of immunization, 504 plans, and individual education programs or IEPs. Each August, the student district publishes information via the district newsletter, newspaper, and/or the district website. Some information that is maintained about students can be released for district publications and media coverage of school events. Even though consent is not needed to release directory information to the public, parents still have the right to provide the school with a written notice which forbids the school and district from releasing such data. Even if this creates some challenges, we respect the parents' right to have these requests honored. In addition, Tonganoxie obtains yearly parent permissions as required by the Student Data Privacy Act. There are legitimate reasons for employees to have access to protected student information. Those who need to know in order to provide educational services, or those to whom parents have granted written consent, may view confidential student records. Employees who view protected information have a professional obligation to help keep the information safe and confidential. There are also times in which consent is not required. Some examples would include transferring schools, health emergency, and/or legal situations. Please remember these points as they relate to confidentiality that must be applied when employees have knowledge of protected student information. HIPAA stands for Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act. Under federal law, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services issued a HIPAA privacy rule, some aspects of which are relevant to USD 464. Protected health information that was gathered for health benefit plans will only be shared with other staff members who need the information to perform their job function. When you were first hired into the district, you completed your personal data sheet and listed the names and phone numbers of your emergency contacts. If you would like to change any of that information, please contact the district office. There will be no HIPAA violation in communicating with personal emergency contacts. Our next topic is appropriate student-employee relationships. In the interest of protecting both student and staff members, Board Policy GAF, Staff-Student Relations, states, staff members will maintain professional relationships and communication with students which are conducive to an effective educational environment. To preserve the professional relationship, staff members will refrain from using text messaging, email, telephone, instant messaging, or other forms of communication which served the purpose of creating or maintaining personal friendships with students. Other than for official school-sponsored events, or in situations where the staff member is also the student's parent, Staff members may not leave school grounds with a student or meet a student off school grounds without the specific prior approval of both the principal and the parents. In addition, a staff member must always have insurance information on file with the district office to transport students. Because of liability issues for both the district and the employee, unless the staff member is fulfilling the official duties of a higher education teacher, staff members may not allow a student to drive his or her personal vehicle or a vehicle for which they are responsible. If you have questions regarding what constitutes appropriate professional relationships, please visit with your principal or immediate supervisor. Our next topic is mandatory reporting. Mandatory reporting of a suspected abuse and or neglect is a state, federal, district, and professional requirement to aid in protecting the health and well-being of our children. Any district employee who has reason to know or suspect that a child has been physical, mental, sexually, or emotionally harmed, abused, or neglected is required to report the concern. All employees, including teachers, administrators, custodians, interns, student teachers, practicum students, food service personnel, paraeducators, and secretaries are required reporters. While the person who has reason to suspect the abuse is the person obligated to file the report, the employee may ask for help from their principal or a member of their school's mental health team. You are not to contact the family in any way regarding their concern. Legal investigations can be impaired, and children may be put at higher risk or harm. In USD 464, it is recommended that the principal of the school be notified that a report has been made, but this cannot be legally required. Notification allows the principal to be prepared for a call or visit from the DCF or the police. Additionally, no staff member should allude to a parent or other employees the identity of a reporter. Remember, we are reporters of situations or incident of concern. We are not investigators or law enforcement. The determination of abuse or neglect is done by DCF and the police. Tonganoxie USD 464 has developed a manual for accounting and activity funds. Please review this manual carefully and follow all policies and procedures within the manual. The manual is located on the secured site along with other manuals and handbooks. Now let's talk about copyright. The copyright laws of the United States make it illegal for anyone to duplicate copyrighted materials without the appropriate permission. Severe penalties are given for unauthorized copying of all materials covered by the Act unless copying falls within the bounds of the fair use doctrine. The Board of Education has approved policies in each area affected by copyright issues. The full text of the policy is available on the district website under Board Policy. Copyright protection is granted for original work of authorship as soon as they are fixed in a tangible form of expression. This includes the written word, photographs, artwork, audiovisual media, and software. In general, until you know otherwise, it is better assumed that everything is copyrighted. One of the most challenging tasks for educators is to determine what constitutes fair use. It is not always what you would expect. For instance, duplication of materials designed for educational use, including textbooks and periodicals, is less likely to be considered fair use than duplication of materials designed for the general public. The best consideration is if you are preventing the copyright holder from making money, and the use is most likely a violation. Here are some examples of copyright danger zones. These are practices which have commonly been identified in schools as possible instances of violation, leading to legal action. One common misconception is the assumption that showing movies can be used as a reward. Consumable materials may not be copied. Sheet music may not be copied except in narrow, well-defined emergencies, after which the copies must be destroyed. The Fair Use Guidelines specify the circumstances and limitation of duplication that are allowed. The permissions vary from situation to situation according to the intended use. Single copies can be made from the following. Multiple copies, one per student, can be made in certain cases. Copyright compliance is a serious responsibility of every staff member. Whenever you have a question or need help, please see your library media specialist. And remember, we are in this together. In USD 464, we believe that the use of technology is an integral part of learning. We also believe it contributes to the overall value of learning for the individual and group. As such, expectations are present to maintain the learning environment. The computers, network, and technology equipment are provided by the taxpayers of USD 464 to support educational, administrative, and/or job-related duties. To maintain the integrity of the system and to ensure that the technology system is used for its intended purpose, staff members are to protect their password from any other person, not to use the district equipment or software to access material inappropriate for schools, and not to use district equipment or software to violate any copyright law. Email, texting, and social networking sites such as Facebook and Twitter have grown in popularity with not only our students but also the adults, including staff, parents, and patrons. It is imperative that if you have to use these types of social networking sites, that you do so on your personal time with professional integrity. The full text of the use of communication technologies by employees can be found in the Certified and Classified Employee Handbooks and is available on the district website. Can be obtained from your principal, technology coordinator, and central office. Any files, email, web history, or directories saved or accessed through district technology is not private and subject to inspection. Full text of computer use is found in Board Policy, IIBG, and is available on the district website and can be obtained from your principal, technology coordinator, or the central office. Bloodborne pathogens. Annual training to protect employees against exposure to bloodborne diseases is required by the Occupational Health and Safety Administration, or OSHA. USD 464 is committed to providing a safe and healthy work environment. This session is provided to minimize or eliminate contact with blood and other bodily fluids that may carry diseases on your job. You will learn about personal risk, the factors of occupational hazards in the school setting, common bloodborne pathogens, and steps to protect yourself and others from being infected. Both personal and occupational hazards can put one at risk for becoming infected with a bloodborne disease. Personal risk factors for adults include unprotected sexual contact, using contaminated needles for drugs, piercings or tattoos, sharing razors or toothbrushes, or receiving a blood transfusion. Occupational risk factors might include contact by infected blood fluids with mucous membranes, or broken skin, including cuts, acne, or dermatitis, punctures with a used needle, or in providing first aid. Since other bodily fluids may contain visible blood, they are also considered to be potentially infectious. There are two types of liver diseases resulting from blood-borne viruses, hepatitis B and hepatitis C. HBV is 100 times more contagious than HIV, but may not have any symptoms. Infected persons may be unaware that they are contagious unless their skin becomes yellow. Other dangers is that the virus can live up to 7 days outside the body, so cleaning contaminated surfaces is very important in preventing HBV transmission. Although there is no cure, a very effective vaccine is available. Employees who are at risk for contracting HBV are encouraged to be vaccinated. The series of 3 injections given over 6 months may be obtained through your family doctor or at the health department. Hepatitis C, or HCV, is the most dangerous and serious blood-borne infection in the United States today and is the leading reason for liver transplants. About 60% of HCV cases are caused by using injectable drugs. Most people with HCV have no symptoms, and there is no vaccine. At this time, intensive treatment may be effective for only 15 to 30% of those infected, and many develop chronic liver diseases. Blood-borne pathogen, which has received a lot of anxiety-producing press because there is no vaccine or cure, is HIV. Attacks the immune system, causing a person to be vulnerable to infection, and is most often transmitted via unprotected sex or sharing used needles. However, there is only 5% risk of infection after exposure, and to date, there have been no reported cases of HIV transmitted in the school setting. The good news is that HIV, HBV, and HCV are all preventable. In order to keep our staff from contracting blood-borne diseases, standard precautions are taken by treating all bodily fluids of all persons as if they were infectious. If you have to deal with any bodily fluid, always wear protective equipment. Protective equipment is supplied by the school nurse or custodial supervisors and includes disposable and utility gloves, goggles, mask, and proper gowns. Sores or cuts on the hands are to be bandaged, and gloves put on before touching any bodily fluid. Since hand washing is the best means of preventing the transferring of germs, here are some pointers in doing it effectively. Lather your hands with soap. Be sure to wash the back side of your hands and between the fingers. Scrub your hands for at least 15 seconds, which is about how long it takes to sing the ABC song in your head. Rinse your hands well under running water and dry them thoroughly. Even with good precautions, incidents can occur that may expose staff to blood-borne diseases. An occupational exposure incident occurs when contact with blood or other contaminated bodily fluids or objects result from the performance of an employee's duties. This contact may be with mucous membrane, such as an eye or mouth, with broken or damaged skin, or accidental puncture from a sharp object. The necessary factors for transmission to occur are an infected person with a port of exit for the blood or other bodily fluids, port of entry, recipient. Students who are actively bleeding may not be in the classroom unless the wound is covered. Visible blood on clothes is not allowed in the classroom, as hepatitis B can live in dry blood for up to a week. If you come upon potentially infectious substances, you should always call a custodian. Our custodians have been trained to use approved methods to clean up hazardous substances, transport substances in leak-proof bags, and dispose of contaminated laundry and other materials in leak-proof, clearly labeled biohazard containers. If you incur an occupational exposure incident, first, wash the area thoroughly with soap and water, then contact your school nurse to provide further first aid. Finally, speak to your supervisor so that a report can be made to the central office and an appointment made with the Lawrence Occupational Health. Ideally, you should be seen within 2 hours of the exposure. Follow-up care is provided at no cost. More detailed information is available in every school office. If you have further questions, contact your school nurse. Harassment and discrimination is our next subject area. Providing a learning environment free from discrimination is our priority, and it is the law. For information, please contact or visit the Kansas State Department of Educational website. The Kansas Bully Prevention Statute, KSA 72-8256, requires districts to address bullying prevention each year with both student and staff. This includes cyberbullying. In response to the statute, each building will conduct training for all staff members and students. An online resource is available at stopbullyingkansas.org. Let's talk about drug-free schools. USD 464 has Board of Education policies prohibiting the use of tobacco products inside all district buildings. All employees are expected to abide by these policies as a condition of their employment. In addition, maintaining a drug-free workplace and schools is important for establishing an appropriate learning environment for the students of the district. In accordance with the law and board policy, district employees may not unlawfully manufacture, distribute, sell, dispense, possess, or use controlled substances. Failure to abide by these policies may result in disciplinary action up to and including termination of employment. Additional information may be found on the district website under Board Policy. If you have questions about these policies, please visit with your principal or immediate supervisor. USD 464 is required by law to comply with the Family Medical Leave Act. Staff members are required to notify their supervisor regarding absences of 3 or more consecutive days due to personal or family health medical related issues. Administrators will refer employees to our District Human Resources Department to manage such leave. HR will determine the employee's eligibility for leave under the Family Medical Leave Act, inform employees of their FMLA rights, request the necessary medical documentation to support the absences covered under FMLA. More information on FMLA will be found in the negotiated agreement, the employee handbooks, board policy manual, and online. If you have questions, please contact Audra Boone at the central office. Please remember, it is required that every employee follow all board policies, rules, and regulations that are included in handbooks, negotiated agreements, and the board policy manual, and other board-approved documentation. Copies of these policy rules and regulations are available on the website or in written form from your immediate supervisor. It is the responsibility of each employee to learn and follow all approved policies, rules, and regulations. If you have any questions regarding board policies or allowed activities, please visit with your immediate supervisor or principal. At the end of this presentation, please sign the information sheet acknowledging that you completed the annual USD 464 mandatory training. Thank you for your attention.